Good morning. With as many as 23 bidders from India and overseas showing interest in the railway's second attempt at bringing in the private sector to run services, the railways seem to be off to a good start. There are already freight trains that are being run by the private sector, and in this case, the railways are planning to give passenger services out to the private sector. A total of 109 routes are to be given out, and the potential bidders include from abroad, for example, they include Siemens, Alstom and Bombardier. From India, they include GMR, Sterlite and L&T, and even, strangely enough, the National Infrastructure Investment Fund. If there's a problem with what is being planned, as we said before, it is the huge subsidies that the railways offers. Right now, on their passenger services, the subsidy levels are around 50% on an average level, which means that if the railways get 50 rupees from the passengers, there is another 50 rupees of loss or subsidy that they bear. So essentially, if this is not fixed, the private sector player could find itself getting undercut by the railways. Nor is this just some abstract fear. In the 2000s, the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government had opened up the petrol pump retailing business, and companies like Essar and Reliance had started their own petrol pumps. This is when the Vajpayee government had said that they would eliminate the subsidies on petrol and diesel. As it happened, they did nothing of the sort. So over a period of time, customers remained with the local PSUs like HPCL, BPCL and IOC, and Reliance and Essar both mothballed their plants. So unless the issue of the subsidy is fixed, and unless there is a regulator in place to offer a level playing field to these private sector players, this move may not be as successful as Railway Minister Piyush Goyal has planned. In an attempt to show how serious it is about reforms, the government plans to pass one of the labour code bills in the monsoon session of Parliament. Now this bill has a lot of pro-industry measures, but the all-critical hire and fire clause, it seems, is not going to be part of the bill. I mean, it will be there, but what there will be is likely to be a clause that allows state governments, if they wish, to activate this, which means that right now, if a firm has more than 100 employees and it wants to shut the company down or retrench those people, it needs to go to the government to ask for permission. The clause, from what we are told, will allow the state governments, if they want, to increase that number from 100 to 300. Now the problem with that move is that at a time when China is losing its position as the factory of the world, in fact we have a story today on our front page where the head of Foxconn is saying that China may no longer be the factory of the world. Now this is a time when India has a lot of opportunity ahead of it, but if it's going to be so timid about the reform, it's not going to be able to get that factory of the world position, and probably countries like Vietnam will move ahead of India. In fact, nothing illustrates the timidness and the poor reform mentality than a Twitter exchange between former Infosys CFO Mohandas Pai, who incidentally is a big supporter of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So there's been a Twitter exchange between Mohandas Pai and Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant. Essentially, there's a gentleman called Rohan Shah. So what Mr. Shah did was, Mr. Shah put out the details of the problem that he's been having in setting up a small manufacturing unit. There's been all manner of permission and he has not been able to get them for months. So he put out the story. Mohandas Pai then tweeted that and tagged various ministers in the government and said that we needed to move fast and get genuine ease of doing business here. In response to that, Mr. Amitabh Kant has said that the problem that Mr. Mohandas Pai is alluding to is really that of Maharashtra, where the situation, to quote Mr. Kant, was bad. So he said that this alludes to Maharashtra. Maharashtra is a place where the situation is bad, but the central government has taken a big lead. It has scrapped a lot of useless laws, and it is now up to the state governments to emulate the centre's policies and start getting their act together. Now the problem is, firstly, this doesn't actually answer the questions that Mohandas Pai is raising or Mr. Shah is raising, that there is a problem in getting clearances. What's interesting is what happened after that. Mohandas Pai put out two tweets which quoted from the Team Lee's compliance business, and it talks about the red tape in different parts of the country. So Mohandas Pai has put that out. Now, but what's really important here is that if the government is going to continue to believe that there is genuine ease of doing business and that all is well, then frankly nothing is going to change, because the government requires a sea change for investors to start investing in India. A worrying story that we carry today is that at a time when consumer spending is in any case quite poor, banks have decided to not give loans to those who are working in COVID hit industries like aviation or tourism. Now this probably makes a lot of sense from the bank's point of view, but the problem is that if there's one thing right now that has a chance of being able to stimulate the economy, it is really consumer spending. So if consumers are to be denied loans, that little area of hope is also going to get snuffed out. As we've been saying in the past, essentially even the consumer spending hope is not too great, because the consumer spending boom of the last several years was essentially funded by a lot of debt, and at a time of the pandemic when the economy is slowing down anyway, consumer demand was never going to grow very fast. At a time like this, it is imperative that the government spend 10 to 15 lakh crores immediately on a big infrastructure creation plan, which will then create a lot of jobs and therefore employment. Now naturally, if the government spend anywhere near this kind of money, this will get investors very worried, it will get rating agencies very worried. So the only way for the government to deal with this is to simultaneously is very, very critical. As the government spends the money, the 10 to 12 lakh crore rupees, it has to simultaneously assure people that it has a debt reduction strategy in place. Now the way to do it is, if you look at, for example, the government holding of PSU, that's about 9 to 10 lakh crores. If you look at L&T, if you look at LIC, which is about to be listed, that's supposed to be worth another 9, 10, 11 lakh crore rupees. So if the government says that these are my assets, these alone, and then there's spectrum sales and things like that, but if the government says that this is my value of my PSU shares, and I'm promising that every month, on the 1st of every month or on the 15th of every month, I'm going to sell X% of these shares, never mind what the market price of those shares is at that point, and this is going to go towards reducing the debt every month or every 6 months. So if there is a credible debt reduction plan along with the big expenditure plan, the government may just be able to save the economy. Keep in mind, every day that the economy slips, every day that more and more units shut down, every day that there are job losses, it is going to be more and more difficult to ever pull up the Indian economy from the rut it is in, and then we'll be in serious trouble. Thank you. Have a great day.